We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone this evening. We are going to start with the acknowledge of the Treaty and Peace of Friendship. We would like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which Wolaska, Maliseet, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaty did not deal with the surrenders of lands and resort, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolaska, Maliseet title of establishment, the rules for what was to be ongoing relationship between the nation. The second item is the reaffirmation of oath of office. We do accept the office of council and be diligently, faithfully, and impartially discharged to be the best of our ability the duties of the office as may be imposed upon us by law. Do I have someone to adopt the agenda?
Could we have a request for any additions to the, your worship?
Is there any addition or removal?
I would like to add a conversation about how council is paid.
Is there anyone else? Can I have someone to adopt the agenda with the changes?
M 2024-0108-1, that the agenda be adopted with amendments.
I'll second it.
To those, do I have anybody to accept the motion? Okay. Okay. To all those that accepts the vote,
I do, yep.
anybody opposed? Motion is carried. Do I have any statement of conflict of interest? If so, you can give it to our CAO, our clerk treasurer. The presentations this evening, the new businesses, the CAO, the first one is circular material and discussions.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, so I wanted to make council aware of a program that's being implemented in New Brunswick. So it's the Circular Materials Program. I just wanted to bring council up to speed on this. For those who aren't aware, sorry, just turning off the mic there. For those not aware, Circular Materials is a nonprofit company, and just to give you a little bit of background on it, this was derived actually at a federal level. So what had happened was there was changes, I believe, at the federal level where manufacturing companies of paper and packaging products are mandated now to be involved in the recycling of the products that they manufacture. So what had happened was quite a while back, these manufacturing companies got together with the distributors, the larger distributors in Canada, and they came up with a system for helping to recycle material. And what they came up with was this company, which is a nonprofit, and it's called Circular Materials. So this Circular Materials has been involved with recycling processing primarily in British Columbia and Ontario for several years. It's now being implemented in New Brunswick. And I wanted to bring it up with council because it is something that is going to impact our operations in 2024. Okay, so Circular Materials, we're in phase 2 of the implementation of it. They've already implemented phase 1, which was primarily in kind of the northwest of the province. And ultimately, they're as you would suspect, they're involved in the recycling process, but they really have kind of two avenues that they offer to municipalities. Now, my understanding in this is a federal sort of mandate, so it's being implemented. You don't really have a whole lot of choice when it is being sort of implemented in New Brunswick. So the two different scenarios that they sort of present are an opt-in and an opt-out scenario. In the opt-in scenario, essentially, what happens is we continue our operations the exact way that we do right now. We have staff, we have our own vehicles, we have set our own schedule, we do all of that. We do the collection and we take it down to Red Pine, down to the recycling facility. Instead of it going directly to Red Pine and us paying a tipping fee for the recycling, we would then instead, Circular Materials would have staff at Red Pine who would actually accept the material. We would save money on tipping fees, and additionally, the program, Circular Materials, would actually reimburse the municipality for each household in Beldoon. So I'll put some information together for council, and I'll get it out to you in an email tomorrow. The rate is around $29 per household, I believe, and they've got all the statistic numbers, and they would actually, so it could potentially become a source of revenue for Beldoon. We would continue to do the pickups. Obviously we pay the salary for the employees and the maintenance on the vehicles, but there is possibly a source of revenue that comes in for recycling. The catch is, because there's always a catch, the catch is that Circular Materials has a very, very low threshold on contamination, to the tune of they will accept approximately 3% contamination. In speaking with the Regional Service Commission, our recycling is closer, for the Chaleur region, is closer to about 50% contamination. It's a pretty big gap. So if you deliver a contaminated product, and that being, material that's not supposed to be in the recycling, glass is not to be recycled, packaging that is recycled is to be cleaned, right? You're supposed to rinse out that stuff. So in those scenarios, if they receive, a load that is contaminated, then we would receive a penalty for doing that. So we'll put a pin in that one. So that is the opt-in scenario. The opt-out scenario is Circular Materials will actually arrange the contractor to do the recycling in your community for residents only. It doesn't include businesses, it's residents only, and they actually arrange everything. The contractor goes in, the contractor will work with you on your schedule. They will do, they'll either work on the schedule that you currently have, or if you want to revise it for the community, they'll do that. They provide the staffing, they provide all of the educational materials that they need for, we actually don't even take calls. The way they presented it is even if there's a late pickup or something, residents would actually call the contractor or Circular Materials directly. So in that instance, we actually would not have anything to do with the recycling pickup for residents. We would still need to do it for businesses, but with the businesses here in Beldoon, that's significantly less, right? We would be able to do that in a fraction of the time. So in the discussions that, with the other communities in the area, both Bathurst and Bell Bay have decided to opt out of the program, simply or primarily because of the contamination level and the difficulty in managing that. There isn't really a process in place. My understanding is that the concept being that the money that you would recover as a revenue is to be used to sort of help educate and get your threshold, your contamination threshold down. That's the intent of it. Being realistic about it, in the conversations that we're having with other communities, they just, outside of actually setting up a pre-treatment site, There really isn't, I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to put in their bin what they put into their bin. So at this point right now, it doesn't sound like there's anything formal that's going to need to be done. There isn't a resolution of council or anything that circular material needs. They're gauging us on our interest in opting in and opting out. In speaking with Public Works, you know, the idea of potentially being able to open up the extra day of the week with our staffing. I don't know if council's aware, but we took a lot of phone calls because of the difficulties we've had with our recycling truck this year. So, you know, taking a look at the labor that we put into it and looking at the maintenance on the vehicles, it was definitely a preference, not just with administration, but also with Public Works, that we look at having the opt-out option where a contractor would come in. So again, what I'm going to do is I'll kind of put this all together for council with all the information. This is relatively new. We actually just kind of caught wind of this stuff towards November and the beginning of December. So I have been in pretty close contact with the representatives in Circular Materials, and we are keeping close contact with the other communities just to see how things are going and the reasons that they're making the decisions that they are. So if there's any questions on it, I'll do my best to answer. As I said, I will kind of follow up this with as much material as I can, move over to council on it. I don't believe that we're going to need any formal resolution at the regular council meeting, but if there is something that comes up in the next week from Circular Materials that they require from us, I'll have it on the agenda for next week. But in a nutshell, that's what the program is. It is being implemented kind of right across the province. So that's it.
So it's mandatory. It's coming anyways, whether we buy in or not.
It's coming regardless. So it's actually already been in place in British Columbia for about 8 years. They've been going through the process, which was actually kind of interesting because a lot of the communities that are opting out they're being scared away by that contamination threshold. So in the conversations that we've had with Circular Materials, they've had pilot projects in both BC and Ontario that did start with very high contamination rate thresholds. And over the course of, 5, 6, or 8 years, they were able to bring that number down. So unfortunately, the approach that they're taking is they know what's achievable, and that's sort of the number that they've implemented as the threshold, whereas they acknowledge that it would be a little bit more palatable if they could do it in stages. However, there is a number that they're trying to keep. It is mandated. It's not something that I think that we're going to, and also date-wise, if we do decide to opt out, so that they would take over, they would be doing that for around November of 2024. We would still need to provide the same service that we do right now throughout for this year. It would only take place at the end of this year.
Affect our workforce at all.
Not negatively, no. It would. Right now, what we do in Beldoon is we essentially split the municipality in two. We do half the municipal recycling on one Tuesday. We do the other half on the following Tuesday. Then we do the first half on the following Tuesday. We alternate Tuesdays. So it would really, all that we would be looking at staff-wise down the road is doing the business pickups, which we would be able to do in, in a fraction of the time. Yeah.
I do have a question concerning that, if I may, Your Worship. I know from 2012 to 2016 that the recycling, I don't want to call it garbage, but the recycling stuff that was picked up in the Chaleur area, the Regional Service Commission puts that together at Red Pines and basically sells that to a company in Montreal. Now, with that said, the demand for our recycling products were very high because of the less contamination. So my question will be this. Councillor Robinson is our representative on the Regional Service Commission along with the mayor. Maybe, if I may, I could ask Councillor Robinson to bring the question to the Regional Service Commission, asking exactly what has transpired on that issue. That is our recycling, say, more contaminated now than it was years ago, or are we even, or things of that nature. So if I may, Councillor Robinson, ask you to maybe ask that question. Thank you very much. So we'll look forward to what the response is.
The second thing on our agendas is the Power Club lease update.
Okay, so an update for council on this. We did, towards the end of last year, we did have one room in the municipal office or in the municipal building that was not finished. So both administration and council was approached by the Power Club, which currently utilizes units 1 and 2 in the municipal building. And they did say, that they would be interested in expanding and taking that on until a potential tenant was found. So we've gone ahead and finished the room, the floor in that room. The ceiling is yet to be done, but the floor, and it is actually a usable room right now. So what I have been doing with the Beldoon, with the Power Club, is that there has been discussions. They did have a couple of requests around potentially getting different access, putting a hole in the wall so that they could, which we didn't really follow through on. It was, the way that it was sort of presented to administration was it could be a temporary room for them to use. So we sort of had the flooring done in the sense that there could be a tenant that comes in and, repairing a door or repairing a hole in the wall. And along with that, it's also moving light switches and things like that, right? So what I initially put over to the council was that with their existing lease, which by the way actually expires this year. It was signed in August of 2019, so their lease does expire in August of 2024. So it is upcoming. It will need to be renewed. So my initial thought process was that the lease does specify what rooms they're using. So with it, coming up and being up for renewal, we could simply revise it and add in that third room. However, we did get good advice from our solicitor, who said really his advice would be, if we're going to use that third room as a kind of a temporary room, to just do a separate lease on that. Leave the original lease as it is. That one will continue to carry, and you'll have a little bit more versatility with the second lease if that's what you want to do. You could just make it either, a 3-month term, renewable 3-month term lease or something like that. So we are working on that. That'll be very quick to put together. As a matter of fact, we pretty much have the framework ready for that. So I will move that over to council in preparation for the regular council meeting to be approved. I'm actually hoping to get it out to council as early as tomorrow, so that if there is any feedback on it, if there is things that we want to include or omit, then we can get that together for the council meeting. But I just wanted council to be aware that room is usable. It is good to go. And all we did was we carried over the same flooring that we used throughout the building. We just used the same flooring. We moved that into the space. So it's nice, it's beautiful, it's usable. So I just wanted council to be aware that that request did come in, and we will have a lease drafted, which we'll get in front of council for next week.
Any questions or comments on this?
Are you saying that we are considering putting a door through? Or we're not?
No. Because it would a little bit more visual if you see it, but there is actually a baseboard as well, all the way around it. So if we did put in a door that, just a walk-through door, actually, it's a good point. What the Beldoon Club would need to do for access to that room right now is, because they have unit 1 and 2, there is obviously exits in both of those rooms. So to be able to access the third room, they'd actually have to come into the public hallway and then go back in again. So the Power Club had hoped to try to avoid that, which I can understand, except for that, I did in the conversations, it is monitored. We have security there. I'm not that concerned. There is the police services room down at the end, and we'll discuss it in a minute, but we are advertising the other space. It is a public hallway, so I don't really have too many concerns. I don't believe that we need the fob access to be able to get to that, but if we do, then we could potentially put a fob on the door, similar to what we have already there. But that was a little bit less invasive than actually knocking a hole hole in the wall, which was kind of the request that had come. So right now, we can go and have a look if council wants after the meeting, but it's just a complete room, a standalone room that could be used. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to 5.3, Event Committee Appointment Update.
Okay, so for this one, I just wanted for council to be aware there was a resignation from the events committee, and while we were going through that process, it was actually Gina, who is the chair of the events committee, actually raised it with me towards the end of last year that she did believe that her mandate had come to an end for December. So with the recent resignation that we had, that sort of triggered us to look at the committee. So we do have a lot of vacancies on the event committee right now. So I do think that it's something that we need to post out as soon as we can. We have the messenger on a temporary hold for this reason and also for the last point. So we are going to be getting the messenger out this week. I just wanted to make sure that council was aware that we would be posting for the vacancies in the position as well. We do have a municipal rep in Darrell that was, his appointment is going to be coming up in January as well. So we should likely have another motion to reappoint him, or if there's another member of staff that that council wants to appoint. But that should be addressed for January. How we want to manage the events committee in the meantime, I mean, it's going to be the discretion of council, but really, I haven't had the conversation with Gina. I'm sure that she would be fine to stay on there until the process is kind of filled out. And of course, Gina, as the chair, with her mandate coming to an end, she's of course more than able to reapply if that's what she wants to do. So those postings will go out in the messenger for the events committee. We're also going to try to tag onto that and work on the appeals committee. The appeals committee was also something else that we need to make sure that we're actioning. That was related to the dangerous and sightly premises, which has kind of come to a grinding halt because we do need an appeals committee for that. So we did post it out previously for the appeals committee. We will repost that out again, as well as the 3 vacant positions. And for anyone watching and anyone that would be interested, there is the chair of the committee, the co-chair of the committee, and the secretary, I believe, of the committee that's vacant. So those will all get posted out this week. I can give council a quick little paragraph on how we'll post that out, and if there's any information or feedback on that, it's definitely welcome.
If I may, Deputy Mayor. Okay, I'm just going to say it out straight out. I believe the committee has outlived its mandate. At the end of the day, we have Darrell, who basically is an employee of the Village of Beldoon, perfectly capable of dealing with those situations. I know that Councillor Guitar McDonnell and Councillor Deputy Mayor Carmichael are highly involved in any issues going on in our community. So when you look at, I'm going to say a lot of the issues that I'm hearing are, for lack of a better expression, negative feedback based on comments that are made by the committee themselves. And with that said, I believe they've outlived their mandate. And for me personally, I would suggest to council that our CAO postpone putting that out at least until February, until council has had the opportunity to, let's say, decide what they want to do, unless you've decided already that you want to move forward that way. But with that said, I make no bones about it. I would prefer to have, someone like Darrell, where he is an employee and has the ability and the know-how and is accountable to council because he is an employee. And then when you look at the events that have gone on in our community that members of council have been involved in, it has gone extremely, extremely well. So for me personally, I would much prefer to go down that route. So maybe what I would do is I would ask council if they are in agreement with asking our CAO to maybe just postpone that till February, until we've had a chance to decide what we're going to do and what the majority of council want to do. But for me personally, that is the direction I would prefer to go, and I don't know if the rest of council want to comment or not, but for me, that's the direction I'd prefer to go.
There was a lot of good work done in the past. Either way would be good, but there has been a lot of man-hours and work put into the committee, and, you know, we're short of volunteers, which is always an issue on any of our events.
I'd be fine with leaving it until February. I think that it's something that maybe we can sit down and talk to Ms. Darrell about, and we can move on from that, okay?
The fourth one, rentable space discussions.
Okay, so we are preparing to post out for the rentable space that we do have in the municipality here. So I've provided a little mail out that we'll have in the messenger. Just looking for feedback from council on that. Doesn't need to be tonight. I was curious about the pricing on that. I didn't know what council, what their opinion was. This was something that was put in place. Originally, the one standalone room that we do have that's you know, quasi available right now was to be listed for $600 per month, and the double space on the other side was listed at $1,000 per month. So we've put that all together. The mail out that we do have, we're just going to add a little bit more detail to it, just, you know, the square footage and that, you know, furniture is included with it and that type of thing. But we are looking forward to kind of getting that out. If there's any feedback from council right now, more than happy to accept that. But I will put together that the mail out into an email tomorrow and send that out, and just look for a little bit of feedback from council on anything that we want to include, because we are looking to advertise that as strong as we can.
Any comments or questions on this?
So the pricing that you have here may be adjusted, or this is firm?
What I'll do, Marilyn, I'll double check to see if this was done by motion of council. I want to say that it was done by motion of council to establish the pricing on that. So if there is a revised price that council is looking to get, it would likely need to be done through motion of council. I'll provide that information tomorrow. I do want to say that it was done through motion of council. So. Yeah, it was. So that as of right now, that's the price. If there is going to be changes on that, then I would hope that we could do that as quickly as possible in January, so that we could move on this. But yes, that's right now $1,000 plus HST is the price for that.
The other item is from Council Burke, confusion on how council gets paid.
Okay, there's been a couple of motions over the years that I brought forward on how council is paid, because, you know, but now we're getting a perfect example of, you know, I don't want to pick on anybody, but I'm going to say it to you this way. I personally am offended by making all the efforts I can make to attend the meetings and be here on time, so that I represent the people who elected me and make my opinions known and vote the way my conscience tells me to vote. But we've got, you know, particularly one council member who's probably missed the last 8 out of 10 meetings, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, when I get paid at the end of the month, I'm paid for what I do, not for what I don't do. And there is the offense as far as I'm concerned. Why would a council member draw the same salary as I'm drawing and not even be at the meetings? And I personally find that offensive. There's no penalty for not being here. You know, at the end of the day, I'm going to make it perfectly known. At the public meeting, I will be putting in a motion that council, if you're not at the meeting, be deducted, I don't know, I'm going to say $50 a meeting. So if you're not there, I know, for example, that you may be away, but Councillor Carmichael Deputy Mayor Carmichael is a perfect example. She has made, via computer or phone or whatever to attend the meetings, and I don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day, when you're not here, and there is no reason why you're not here, members of our staff, they are paid, for example, if they have leave for specific items, sick leave, or, if there's a death in their family and it has to be their immediate family. But with that said, there is no policy in place for council that says, you can basically come if you want or stay home if you want, and you're drawing exactly the same wage. Now, with that said, that is not how we were elected. And at the end of the day, for me personally, I find it an insult, or that we have members who are making the biggest effort they can make to be at the meeting so decisions can be made, and then we have others who come and go or choose which meeting they're going to come to, and for whatever reason. And to be honest with you, I don't really care what the reason is. We need a policy that makes it very clear that if you're missing a council meeting because of the death of your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, council has the authority to waive the penalty for not being at the meeting. But the other side of the coin to that is, if you're just not showing up because you don't feel like it, that's another story. And, nobody was elected to, let's say, draw a paycheck and attend the meetings whenever you want. You were elected to represent this community professionally and to the point, to express your views on behalf of your constituents and to do things on behalf of this community. So I'm saying it publicly that at the next public meeting, there will be a motion on the table to have members of council who do not attend meetings penalized.
There actually is a policy that deals with attendance at meetings. So if you're looking to have something in a motion, then you should look to change that bylaw.
Any other comments or questions?
There are no other questions. I have the option to speak last. With that said, it comes down to that I don't have a problem changing the bylaw. My point is that why would members of council be paid for not being here? That it doesn't make sense to me when the majority of us are being here. So, right now, it's basically 90 days. So every 90 days, I could show up at a meeting and that's it. So, with that said, it's not right. And I don't believe it is. And we're going to see what council believes, what they think.
Sorry. We move to the next, to close the motion. Do I have a mover to close the session?
M 2024-0108-2, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:34 p.m.
All those in favor? Oh,
I'll
do I have a
second it.
seconder?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.